And obviously, with this being the weekly outlook, it's July 26th, 2026, right? So we almost in August. Like, can you believe it? Like, we literally almost in August already. It's crazy just to see how, this year kind of got on about its business. You know what I mean? So we are well into that third quarter, actually about to approach the fourth quarter here pretty soon. And, I just want you to really take in mind all the things that you set out to do this year. Have you actually done them? And if not, like, look, you still got time, right? Don't think just because you're in the second half of the year, like, oh man, the year is this and that. Like, look, you got more than enough time to make 2026 the best year of your life. I was listening to this sermon, right? And it was talking about the ability to wait, right? And there's like a lot of the things that happen in your life are gradual and then sudden, right? So you'll see this gradual change, almost a change that you can't even recognize, and then all of a sudden things start happening in your life, and you might not see the numbers yet, you might not see the physical proof yet, but understand that everything that you do, every seed that you plant is pivotal for the direction that you're going. And like I said, I'm not here to take out of church on this Sunday or nothing, but I do like to get spiritually recharged on the weekend. And it was just talking about plant the seeds no matter what the environment is looking like currently, right? They say if you watch the wind, you won't plant. If you watch the clouds, you won't plant seeds because sometimes we think the external environment is the thing that's going to dictate our circumstance. When in reality, you just got to do your job and let the rest take care of that. But he'll explain it a lot better than me. I'll send the link in the chat a little later if y'all want to check that out. But let's get straight to it, man. Just control what you can control this week. It's a fresh week. What you did last week don't matter. It's all about what you do day by day. So last week we did all right. All right, we did all right. It wasn't no record-breaking week to say the least. A lot of the moves came late. A lot of the moves kept us guessing. We was able to catch a few moves here, a few moves there, but overall, it wasn't just the record-breaking weeks that we've been having. I just want to come on here and get a good idea of what we believe is going to happen right out the gate, and that way we can, we could be adequately prepared for what's going to go on. All right. So with that being said, man, first things first, taking a look at Nas 100. So. You see the market came back late Friday for that entry, right? We took buys on this down here. Market actually came back for an ace late Friday, literally right before the market closed, and then it boomed up, all right as the market opened today. Now, this is the weird stuff that I like. I swear I hate when the market does this because, they know that we're not really trying to trade at the end of the day on Friday. They know that we ain't really trying to trade right when the market open on Sunday. So what do? They start sneaking these big moves in the hours that they know nobody's trading. It's crazy. This has been happening a lot, especially with Trump being in office. You see some of the biggest moves taking place on oil, biggest moves on gold, biggest moves on the stock market taking place, over the weekend and stuff like that, because that's where a lot of the deals are being done. That's where a lot of the, things are being negotiated. But overall, really big push here on NAS 100. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not in this right now. I think I may have told y'all to move your stops. Did I tell y'all to move y'all stops? I did. I did. I did. Ah, man, we probably could have kept our original stops, but I wouldn't want y'all to hold that 200-point stop loss over the weekend, right? That can get a little dangerous, right? But from an analysis standpoint, it's still a lot we could take from this, right? Because if we would have got that ace entry any other time of the week other than, 4 p.m. on a Friday, I mean, I definitely would have told y'all to buy again, just because I'm that confident in the area. But again, if I like the area, but I don't like the initial reaction, then the automatic playbook is to go for the ace, right? So this is good learning material. Obviously, we would all love to be in the position But it's still good to take, just a learning material and realizing that if this happens at a different time of day, that's a much better opportunity for us. So unfortunately, this thing might take off. The best thing we can hope for right now, all right, for the people that are not in this trade, the best thing we can hope for is a retracement opportunity of some sort, right? Because I have no doubt in my mind, barring some crazy circumstance, barring, more, developments in the war and acceleration on that side of things, of the belief that we can get a good retracement to the upside. I'm not necessarily saying we'll make a new high just yet. And I know this chart has a lot on it, so let me just zoom in. So I'm not saying that we'll go up and, make new highs on a higher time frame, but at the very least, I can see us coming up challenging these highs here, right? The next area of a challenge that I could see is this fair value gap right here. I want to see what the market chooses to do once we get into this region here. Curious to see what'll happen here because although I do believe this is a sweep of liquidity, I do believe this is a strong low. If the market does want to continue bearish for any reason, whether it be war, whether it just be the economy being in a bad position, the market does hesitate here off of this trap and then it makes a new low. All right, so this is a hesitation off of demand. And if the market does want to go bearish, it'll probably do so from somewhere in here. So I want to keep a close eye on this zone, right? We do have a really big impulse and there's no hesitation, right? Now, if I was wanted to be in a buy, obviously you want to be in down here, but as the market takes off, sometimes you can look at other alternative options, right? Even though I think the market might go bullish a little long term, it's like, where are you going to get the reactions from, right? We might get a reaction here that goes bearish. It might not make a new low and come down here, but it might go far enough for us to make some type of income, right? Or some type of profit. So, me just playing areas that could potentially give me a reaction. That's really my objective right now. I could see, on the 4 hour, it looks pretty decent. But when we do come down a little bit, like when I comes to like the 15 minute, you got a gap here. The market does push up right here and fill in, at least half of that. So maybe the market doesn't get tripped up right here, actually. On the 15 minute, it doesn't really look like much. I saw it on the 4 hour, so I drew up that imbalance, but on the 15, I'm not really positive that they'll get a sell reaction up here. If so, it'll probably be something small to continue to buys, right? So if the market hesitates here and then pushes up again, maybe the market can create some internal liquidity before it pushes up. So that way, when it retraces, it has the internal liquidity necessary to continue. All right, that's what I'm hoping for. So I want to see us consolidate for a little bit. All right, maybe going into London tonight, cross over bullish. Okay, we cross over into this area up here that I had marked off on the 4 hour. Again, I don't think it'll be a long-term reaction. I think this is the type of zone that can give me a little retracement, something like this. And if we get a retracement to knock out the lows of the hezi that we might create today, right? So the market makes a low today and we take it out on a higher low maybe tomorrow morning. I think that could be a potential setup. All right. Now, again, a lot has to go right for this to happen. I'm just looking for a reason to justify this strong low, right? We took out daily and weekly lows to the left. All right. More like daily lows, you see. So this red line and this black line that I have marked up, that was the reason we took the buys on Friday. All right. I wish the buys would have just held up, but as you see, we came back and made a strong low. So even though we came back, and the timing was bad, right? Obviously, we would have preferred that the market just take off, especially considering we had a buy limit down there. I would have preferred the market just took off and did not do this strong low sweep at the time that it did. But since it did, we have to go with what we, with the cards that we were dealt. So now this is our hand, right? Would have loved to be in down here and just hold for the long run. But now that we have to find a new opportunity, what I'm looking for is an entry model, okay, that can validate the direction that I want to go. All right. I want to go bullish. Now I'm just looking at how does this happen? How can we go bullish? In order for me to go bullish, I need a higher low to form, right? Like this. In order for a higher low to form, I need some sort of internal range liquidity, which we don't have yet if you look at where the market has pushed up so far, right? So up until this point, we have not created any internal range liquidity. That's why I'm expecting a hezi to form right here, because that hezi is what's going to give me the internal range liquidity necessary for the market to continue to the upside. Okay. So that's why I'm looking for this hezi to form. Now, if this hezi does not form, maybe the market just continues to go lower, right? Now, those are like basically the two options, right? So far as a sell setup goes, I don't really see something that I like all too much. If it's gonna sell, I think it'll just drop from where it currently is, right? But if it's going to buy, I think it'll range a little bit today, cross over tonight, retrace throughout the night, and get ready for the buy on New York session. All right. Those are like the two options that I could really, see with this setup. So I prefer we go bullish, but I do understand how we can go bearish. Market did have a big impulse, right? I'm trying to just kind of charge it to the fact that the market just opened. I don't want to think like, oh, it's just an impulse just because it wants to impulse. Maybe it's just impulsing because, that's why the market wanted to open up, right? So if the market hesitates here and makes a new high, we can use whatever lows of the hesitation for the continuation, right? So, there's something I was going to talk about. I'm actually save it for Wednesday, right? This is a weekly outlook, so I'm gonna just keep doing that. But I got a new way to kind of describe internal range liquidity. I was doing a one-on-one, and I felt like the way I was explaining it is a way I hadn't did it previously. So definitely show up to the call on Wednesday because I got some fresh sauce for y'all. All right. Now, gold. Let's take a look at this. All right. Obviously, the market reacted off the supply zone up here. I still have this marked off as a trap. So regardless of what happens here, the trap here to me is a target. Okay. So obviously the market ain't just gonna move in straight lines. Sometimes you gotta, go bullish a little bit before you continue to drop. I do think we'll continue to drop towards these lows because I have a trap here. We got relative equal lows. And maybe we respect that low, maybe we run that low too. But I'll cross that bridge when I get there, right? Primarily, my main focus right now is the drop that I believe we're going to get on gold, right? So now the question is where does this drop take place? Okay. Does the drop take place right here where the market currently is? Well, let's look over to the left. Do you see anything that stands out to you in terms of like a strong high hezi crossover formation, right? Not really, right? I think it's easy to look at this and say, well, that's a strong high. Maybe the market hesitates here before it crosses over bearish. I'm not buying that. Okay, I'm not buying it. When I gotta try a little too hard just to see it, maybe that's when it's time to just go to a little bit of a higher time frame and see if there's anything better out there for you. All right. So if I mark up the high like this, It pushes up, makes a new low, lower high. Okay, you do get a little hesitation here. It's a little gap, right? It's not big. There's a little gap here. Mind you, we still didn't tap this hezzy over here either, right? We got to keep that in mind. All right. So again, market pushes down, leaves a wick, pushes up, leaves a wick. That is a hezzy in itself, right? Because the market pushing down, that's a low. This is a high. So that means the market did made that low, made that high, crossed over bearish. And you still got this fair value gap right there. So I look at this, I look at that as a potential to be internal range liquidity. The market never came back for it before it melted. So even though I would have liked for that to happen, the fact that it didn't happen means that that supply zone is still unmitigated. So I think maybe the market can push up to that area. I don't want to be naive enough to just think it's going to sell right at the open. I do like the impulse with no hezzy, but again, that may not be, that may just be because again, it's a new day. So I don't want to jump the gun and thinking that that's that pattern when it could just be a new day in the market, right? So overall, I want us to at the very least come and take that high. But if life get real good, maybe we can come and take this high up here. And if we can reach like 41.35, I think we could take a sell on gold. All right. Because again, even though the market is going bullish, my target is still down here. So I need to find a way to go bearish. That's it. Once I know where my targets are, I need to find a entry model of some sort. So now that I know where my targets are, now I'm looking for entries. I'm looking for areas of interest that I could take a trade from. That's my only job really, is to know where my directional bias is, and then I could find all of my potential ways to get into the trade so that way I could target that um my directional bias and hit my targets, right? So the only real option I see is for us to grab this high because this will be used as internal range liquidity of some sort. That's the hezzy off of a previous area of demand. So we know there's money above this high. We could just come and wick that high and get a reaction off of that, like on a continuation type reaction. Because again, there is a little imbalance right here. So I would not be surprised to see the market just, wick this high and then continue down. Even here, you got a little imbalance here, decent sized footprint, right? It's not the prettiest thing I ever seen, but again, I'm just looking for ways to reach my target, right? So I do have a hezzy here. Market is reacting beneath the hezzy. So that reaction is gonna draw in more sellers, all right? So we react, we start going lower, and then we knock out the early sellers. This could be an area where we get a big sell here. If we don't get the sell here, I think we'll get it here. All right. Now, that's not just me drawing up multiple zones because I'm unsure about myself. At the end of the day, when you're a trader, you got to be open to multiple possibilities so that way you're not surprised when one of them don't play out, but now you have a backup plan. All right. So that is very necessary in the world of trading. So I want you guys to start doing that. When you start marking up trades, give yourself more than one option. So that way you could start looking at all the different possibilities that the market could throw at you. And that'll help you just not be as emotional if that first trade opportunity you mark up loses. It'll help you not be so emotional in it because now you already see where the other possibilities are. If you only drawing up one zone and that one zone fails, you're gonna be like, damn, what the hell? Like, what's wrong with the strategy? When in reality, you got more than one possibility or more than one outcome, right? So that's what I'll be looking at for gold. I do believe we'll go bearish this week, which is a little bit different than my Nas outlook. So, maybe Nas does push up here and start to sell off, right? Gold and Nas have been moving together. So the fact that I'm kind of bearish on gold, maybe that'll change the outlook on Nas. I just kind of gotta wait and see, right? So let's keep our eyes open and see what the market gives us there. Now I'm trying to look at a couple currencies. All right, let's see what G Chef is doing. So if you guys took the sell limit, you should have been in this trade. We haven't hit any targets yet. All right, we got to reach the black line to hit our first target. Market has had a really big retracement. Right, opened up down here, retraced all the way back up. Now, I did move my stop loss down because I don't want to take a full size loss on a Sunday, right? So, if I got to get back in this trade for whatever reason, or if the market just goes against us, I'd rather just take out at break even rather than lose a full position. Now, if this trade decides it wants to keep dropping, we could all still be in this position and, target this area for the first TP. So risking 20 for 60 pips on the first TP, 100 pips on the second, 150 on the third. But overall, again, pushed into this area, supply all the way over to the left. Way over here to the left. Where we see a, hesitation crossover. The market pushes up above that hesitation right here, right? But it still does leave some space, okay? So you still got this open space that hasn't been filled yet that may continue to sell, all right? So if the sale does decide to continue, it should continue from that gray, shaded area right there. Which is why, again, we made the strong high here, hesitation, crossover. That's the reason I took the sale there, all right? So again, what I'm hoping for is that we can continue to at least take out this low, all right? Take out that low. We do that, we should just keep dropping at least for that 150 pips, all right? So that's what I'm looking for on GBP CHF. GJ, we still waiting it out, all right? Still waiting it out. Not much movement on GJ as of late. But again, we do have this impulse with no hesi. So for me, an impulse like this with no hesitation is always a fake move. All right. I want to see some sort of hesitation because the hesitation is what's going to create the internal range liquidity for the market to make a higher low and then push into a higher high. So typically when I see an impulsive move without any internal structure points, that's usually a false move to the upside, right? So rather than me looking at this as a higher low, a higher high, and looking for a higher low to buy, I'm actually looking for this low to get taken out as well as this one because this one looks weak to me. You see all the clutter right there. You don't see any imbalance. You don't see any displacement. You don't see any fair value gaps. So for me, again, I know I have my target. First target is going to be the low that created the impulse. Second target is going to be these lows because they look weak. All right. So now I have my target. I just need to find a way into the trade, right? How do I get into this trade? You have two entry models. Your entry model is going to be a crossover or an ace. That's your only way into a trade. It's either going to be a hezi crossover, it's going to be an ace. So I see the market hesitate here. Obviously, there's no the band over to the left that's really clear to go off of. So, I get it if you don't particularly like this setup. It's not my favorite either, right? I'd probably just go with the ace only, right? Because when I look at these highs don't look very trustworthy, right? These are not strong highs. So again, if I'm pretty confident that we'll go lower, all right, but I don't like the initial reaction, then that's where I go for the ace entry. Okay. So based on the push up, I'm pretty confident that we'll go lower. Now the question is, do we have a strong enough reaction from the high to get a supply zone that can create a lower high, right? And if we don't get the lower high, then we'll get the ace. Okay. Those are the only two options we have. You're either gonna make a lower high or you're gonna make a higher high. A lower high is the Hezi crossover. The higher high is the ace. All right. So you can mark up both of them and kind of just see where the market wants to go from there. Right. You got a little footprint here. It's not the best, right? If I had to not guess, but if I had to bet on this, I'd probably say we'll get an ace. All right, because I've seen much better Hezi crossovers, but at times you might take both just to kind of see which one plays out. And if you have to go to your option B, let the option B cover up your risk, right? Or make up for the loss that you took. Again, if I had to bet on this, I'm probably 80% sure we'll get the ace over this setup here. But like I said, I've seen stranger things. So, um, maybe take a small jab at this supply, but just understanding that these highs kind of look weak, you want to keep something left in the chamber for this, right? So above 2019.6, uh, not 2019, my bad, 219.6, above that, I think we'll get a sell, right? So wait for the market to hit 219.6, go up a little bit higher, probably like 219.7, maybe even 8. But ultimately, it's like this region, right? I want to see the market get up into this region up here and then sell off, right? Because you could tell it wants to sell. You could tell just by looking at the lows, right? Yes, the market did make a strong low right here, but at the same time, you still got the targets in place, right? You still got the targets in place. We didn't come for those targets. So the market might need to give you this strong low just to push up to that selling zone, right? But when I look at these lows, these lows, these lows, none of those lows look good to me. So it's a lot of money underneath them that the sell wants to take, whether it comes from here or whether it comes from here. I do believe we'll get a sell on GJ. All right. Take a look at GU. I don't think I looked at this yet. GU did me nasty last week. I caught this Hezi crossover, but I moved my stop to break even, and then this happened. I wasn't on the charts, right? So that's why like time of day is so important. Like sometimes time of day will bite you in the butt. Sometimes it's like, it protects you, but I'm not always looking at my charts all day. So you take a trade like this at 9 o'clock in the morning, perfect window. Market comes back at 11, 12, and then I'm not even paying attention to my charts at that time. But again, strong high, hesitation, crossover, come and take the high out, right, of the Hezi sell zone, right? And sometimes this will happen too, but as long as the strong high is intact, that sell is still valid. And this one just came off of me not seeing the strong lows that I wanted to see long term. So that's pretty much the reason why I'm still selling GJ. Is I don't see lows that I'm very convinced in. Even now, when I look over to the left, do I see anything over here that would make me want to buy long term? And the answer is no, right? I don't think that this is a demand zone that's going to send the market into a higher high. I don't think that this is a demand zone that's going to send the market into a higher high, right? Even when I come way down here, none of this looks very strong to me, right? And that's why, like, even though the market made a strong low right here, look at the price action afterwards. It's very choppy, right? So I don't really trust none of these lows to be the main reversal low or demand zone, whether it's this one, this one, this one, this one, or this one. So again, when I don't like that reaction, what's the only choice? The choice is to target all of it, right? I want to target all of it. So when I look at this, I'm gonna draw that into the future like that. I think somebody told me I have to just erase all of this at once. But anyway, yeah, when I look at these lows, I don't like the lows. I don't like these demand zones over here. I wouldn't be surprised to see us continue to sell off, right? Now it's just like, how can we get into the trade, right? That's the question. Once I know what I want to do directionally, now I just look at how can I get in. That's a simple question I ask myself. I know where I want to go directionally. Now the question is, how do I get in? Okay, how do I get into the trade? Right. So you see the market makes a high, we push down the new lows. The lows are weak. All right. If the lows are weak, you know they're a target. Now that we know where our target is, where can we possibly get in from this range, right? And if I don't see an area to get in from this trading range, from this high to this low, then maybe I need to look a little bit higher, right? If I don't see the opportunity to get in, I might need to look a little bit higher. But if I'm just looking at this, I see a little footprint here. I also see the market, does hesitate here before crossing over bears. Maybe if we mark up the top of the hesitation and then we mark up the footprint as a supply zone, that could be an area of interest that gives us a decent reaction. I'll look a little bit higher, see if there's anything I'm missing, right? Got a little footprint here as well. Last but not least, you got one up here too, right? But that one didn't really make a strong high first, so I don't really trust this one because that one created relative equal highs. So I don't like that one. I don't trust that one because of the equal highs. This one I've seen better. I just feel like this one has a little more going for it. Um, you do hesitate off a previous demand as well. So all of this became a hezi also, right? So you see the market hesitates off a demand, crosses over bearish. I would not be surprised to see us come into this region, respect that, and like 133.8 and above, 133.8 and above, 133, 1.3385, probably a better entry, just better risk to reward. 133, 1.3385, right? So just look in this region right here. 1.338 and above, 1.3385 for something a little more precise. Okay. I think we'll get a sell off from that area on the continuation side of things. GCAD. And I don't see much on GCAD. I don't see much on GA. We already talked about GBP CHF, and we talked about GJ. All right. Again, about 80% positive will get an ace on GBP JPY. All right. You can delete your Euro JPY buy limits if you haven't already. The market already hit its target without coming down for the pending order. So just let that go. What I think it's going to do now, not quite sure to be honest. Probably go challenge these highs, but I don't really see an opportunity to get in. Euro NZD, same thing. I don't really see an opportunity. This is probably a trap. If so, market will likely keep selling off. But again, it's just the quality of the setup, right? Like you can have an overall directional idea of where the market is going, but again, if the setup isn't quality, it's just not worth taking, right? It's like when I look at all of these highs, I don't really see highs that I want to sell from. So I do think the market's gonna go down, but I don't really see a supply zone that I would want to take a trade from. So maybe the market goes up a little bit higher first, but by the time it does all that, there's probably a better setup out there. All right. You got a little footprint right here. Not the cleanest though. Not the cleanest. Not the cleanest. I don't think EU is ready to buy long term. We got a lot of sloppy price action to the left. I don't think that this will be the catalyst for a big buy. All right. So if I don't think we're gonna get a buy, or at least long term, our only choice is to get a sell. Right. So now I'm just looking for any opportunity. All right. I see here we pushed into the supply zone not once but twice. Since we pushed into it twice, it gave us a strong high. Strong high here. We got a little indecision candle there, which can be our hesitation. Obviously, we got our crossover. So if the market pushes up here, maybe we respect there and continue back down one more time. Not the cleanest setup. As you can see, it's a lot of consolidation, but even still, even if the market's consolidating, we're just looking for those key indicators. We're looking for hesitation. We're looking for crossover. We're looking for, strong highs, weak lows, strong lows, weak highs, right? So we still looking for the same stuff. It's just, do we have a quality setup that we can go off of and put some money behind, right? And if it is it worth taking, or is it just better off to find another setup that's a little bit cleaner, right? But we see this is a high here that led to a new low being created. Mark up that as potential internal range liquidity. So I might be interested in this. Euro, CHF, it also doesn't move too fast, too aggressively. I think I may be interested in 0.9329. 0.9329. I think that wick is going to get cleared out. You make the ace. You make the ace here. But looking all the way over to the left would be more like a unmitigated supply zone. Okay, so we got a little, decent footprint, right? You see the impulsive candle up, strong candle down. So you got the characteristics, a little bit of a footprint right there. Been looking over here to the left, you got like a hezzy crossover here. Market pushes into it. Got another little something here, hesitation, crossover. I feel like once the market pushes into that, we'll probably get a sell-off, right? Keep your eyes on that. If we do get that, GBP CHF will likely hit break even. So maybe we'll get in again. I just have to keep my eyes on it. Euro CAD. One thing I do know is the highs ain't very strong, right? Highs are not very strong. I think the market will come and take those out at least. I don't see a lot of strong highs here. Even here where the market dropped from, it dropped because on a lower time frame you had that strong high, you had internal range liquidity, but even still, there's still relatively equal lows here. So you have a target above your head, but down here, you're clearing internal structure. All right, so you are clearing some type of liquidity here. Look to the left, you do have a hezzy crossover, right? So market does hesitate, crosses over, makes this low here, but it doesn't go much lower than the hesitation. It does wick beneath it, but not by much, right? Not by much at all. Like even on the daily, you couldn't really tell, right? Who's marking this up on a daily? I never mark up charts on a daily, but just for the sake of the argument, we still got the hesitation crossover. We do just wick down that low, but overall, I still feel like, this is just that second push into underneath the hesitation into this demand zone, right? So this is the case. We still got weak highs up here. Don't be surprised to see Euro CAD gain strength throughout the week. So again, now that I have my target, it's just about getting into the position, all right? I wouldn't have y'all enter this late. Also, this reaction is very suspect to me, all right? So with a reaction like that, I would love to get an ace, okay? Now, if it just takes off, it takes off. That's fine. You're not going to catch every single move. But in order to get the best risk to reward, you cannot be late. You cannot take late entries if you want good risk to reward, all right? So if I'm late, I'd rather wait. And by wait, I mean try to get a higher low or try to get an ace. When I look at this reaction, I don't even see where I could potentially get a higher low. So if I don't think I'll get a higher low, my only choice is to wait for this. All right. So that's what I think we'll get. Keep your eye on that. If we get that, I will definitely be sending that out to you guys. All right. A little something, something here. Like I said, it's not the prettiest, but sometimes you got to improvise a little bit. Somebody did mention to me, I forgot who asked, but somebody's asking if I could do like a challenge, like scaling the account, like 100 to 1,000, 1,000 to 5,000, something like that. And I'm down for that, right? I'm down for that. So if you guys want to participate, make sure you fund up your accounts, right? Um, and that'll be a good challenge even for myself this week. So again, a lot of stuff happens quick. So just make sure you check in the chat this week. And I'll do my best to make sure you guys get every trade that I personally take. I send signals, but then there's a couple personal setups that I might just jab. And so I do my best to, like I said, keep y'all updated in advance on the trade setups that I'm taking. But it don't take much, y'all. It don't take much. Yeah, I feel like we marked up just about everything that we need to. Still curious to see what these markets are going to do. I'm not super 100% definitive on nothing just at this second. I do think Nas will keep going up, but we'll see what happens around that area. Once we clear out this internal structure, we'll see if it wants to treat this like a hezi or is this just a accumulation to go much higher, right? That's what we want to know. Does this want to be treated like a hezi crossover to the bearish side, or is this just an accumulation that's in the market flying? I think it's gonna go higher, but again, with gold, I'm curious because I'm not really sold on long-term bullishness just yet on gold. So I am curious to see which one of these are going to play out. Slightly conflicting biases to start the week, but as the week goes on, I'm sure we'll develop some type of clarity and some type of consistency on what the markets choose to do. All right. But overall, that's about it, right? Again, we don't need a whole lot to make a good amount of money. We just need to be in alignment when it's time to execute. And that's what this call is for, right? Let me check the chat real quick. Yeah, trade with whatever you're comfortable with. If you want to put in 100 and try to flip it, that's cool. If you got 1K, you want to flip that, that's cool. Like it's not a specific dollar amount that's like required. I'm just like, let's put in something you comfortable losing, and we're gonna trade. Because again, in order to flip aggressively, you're gonna have to, like, just being honest, you're gonna have to put the account up, at risk. If you want to risk, let's say 10% of the account, you can grow it, but it's just going to be a little bit slower. But if you want to actually make some exponential growth this week, just come in expecting to risk like 30, at least 30% of it. And that's what I do on smaller accounts anyway. It's not until I got a few thousand that I'm gonna start really scaling back. But I've shown you all my deposit history and my withdrawal history before. Like when I start with a small amount and scale it up, like I'm essentially putting that whole account at risk on any given trade. So just make sure you're comfortable with that. If not, just take the trades like you would normally take them. No, I don't trade silver. There's no point, honestly. Nobody trades silver effectively. I don't know anybody that really trades silver very effectively. And it's not because the pattern isn't there. It's just like it's extremely volatile. You can lose $1,000 on the smallest position size. I don't really see the intrigue in that because it's like it's almost impossible to trade it using good risk management, right? Like if you're trading silver, it's strictly blow it or grow it, right? Like that's it. Nobody's really trading silver with good risk management, and that's why I don't really mess with it, right? I don't really mess with it for that reason. But yeah, fund up whatever you're comfortable with. Um, Again, my recommended brokers, especially for all the people that's new, be aware, right? Be aware. There is people that will impersonate me, DM you guys telling you to put money into a broker. Look, if you have any questions about a broker, you just need to come to the recommended broker tab. If somebody hits you up talking about putting money in something that's not this, I forgot the name of it, but a couple of y'all, I fell for it, unfortunately. But it's another broker out there. I forgot the name of it, but it's not even really a broker. I think they just made a fake website and then you deposit, into the website and then you can't get the money out. So if you just want to make sure that ain't happening, just come straight here to the recommended broker tab. For the people that use Trade Locker, we on Genesis. For the people that want to use MetaTrader, like my OGs, has been in the game for a while. That's just, loyal to the soil and just want to use what they came up on. You still can't have access to MetaTrader, right? A lot of people were surprised to hear that. A lot of people thought MetaTrader was gone. It is not. You can get into MetaTrader using those links. You can still use MetaTrader. You just got to get in through referral. That's the only thing, right? You got to get in through referral now. So that's that, fam. All right, that is that. I don't really see nothing else for me on this particular Sunday. I'm not taking no trades just yet, though, man. I'm gonna let this stuff wake up a little bit. Market's just open, so be patient. Don't have to be too thirsty for setups right now. Let the market take shape, let it take form. And I'm sure, by tonight, if not tomorrow, we'll have a clear sense on what the market wants to do. All right. Well, then we ain't got nothing else. I'll go ahead and wrap it up here. You guys will get access to the recording. I'll make sure I upload it right away. Other than that, I appreciate y'all, man. Let's have another great week. All right, we've been working, we've been going hard. Last week was about as challenging of a week that I remember us having, and we still, came out of it profitable, right? Or at least you should have. So, again, every week ain't just, home run after home run. Sometimes they're gonna test our patience. Sometimes they're gonna make us wait. A lot of the moves was happening after 12 noon. So it was like last week was a bit stressful. Hopefully, we get some much cleaner price action this week and we get back to our old habits of doing stuff, all right? But again, let's focus on patience and execution this week. Control the controllables and let the rest take care of itself, family. All right. Let's put in that work this week, and I'll see you guys on the New York sessions. And let's run it up. All right.